Hello and a warm welcome to our latest edition of using the CATIA software. As we have already seen use of different commands in our previous videos, I once again urge you to go through our previous videos and make sure that you follow all the commands as well. So next things next, let us today start off with our next set of commands as we promised you. So we will open up one of the planes as in usual routines. One of those planes. Actually today let us open the XY plane. It doesn't quite matter. Frequently we have been opening the YZ plane, clicking on the position sketch option and just popping up. Now we have to reverse the directions of H and V, because if I click on OK, then it will actually open up in the reverse direction. So here we have to actually reverse some of the positions in when we are using the YZ plane. So let us reverse the direction of H, and then as we can see, if I move the plane in our direction, we will see that the H is on the vertical line and the V is on the horizontal line. So making sure that they are interchanging position, we have to use swap, and here it is. I click on OK and the sketch option gets opened up. We have learned different commands in a previous video. Which are these different commands? We are in the final lot of commands, and our next option is the axis. Now let me first of all draw a rectangle. So this is a rectangle. Now if I want to draw an axis, then axis is something that divides two parts of a simple element, or a mechanical element, as we can see, or a geometrical figure. So when I click on axis and I click on this particular option, an axis can be created using this. As we can see, an axis here is created, and it is always at the center as well. We can just simply move this axis up and down as well. It usually depends. Now I can also draw a horizontal axis as well. So I will start off from the outside and clicking on the next point. Here it is. I have created an axis. I can just simply move it up and down as well. So axis also plays an important part as well. It actually doesn't constitute a line, and even if an axis is left open, it is okay. As we have learned while creating a geometry of different geometries, we need to have two lines passing through one point. It doesn't actually quite happen with an axis, because the axis is not a fundamental part of an mechanical element or a geometrical drawing. So an axis is simply a secondary element. So even if it is left open, it doesn't quite make a huge difference as well. So I will now delete the option. I can simply draw one more axis. We will have it here. We can see another axis. We can simply draw another one, as we can see, and then I will just delete it off. Here it is. Our next option is a point, and this is what is going to be important as well for us if we are going to create complex operations. So here we can see using the point command. Point by clicking is simply if we click and select that option, and if we click on that option, a point is created wherever we have clicked. If I double click and if I start pressing different options, here we can see different points are being created as well. So this is how you can use this option by just simply clicking wherever we want, and we will actually be creating a constrained pentagon using the point option, where we will learn the use how a point is being used. Different types of points are actually present. Here we can see point by coordinates. As we can see in its name itself, we simply have to name the coordinates. So if I simply name as coordinates minus 25, and vertically if I name it as say for example positive 10, and I click on OK, or rather enter, point will be created, and here it is. A point has been created. Here we can see. So we can just simply use this option. Since the point becomes green, because it has a direct relationship with the origin of our working system, here we can see, and the constraints have been defined as well. So I will now select delete. It will also be helpful for us as well. And now here comes the equidistance points. So equidistant points are something that will be actually created on a line. So let us first of all choose a line, and so this is a line, and if I use the equidistant option and if I click here, we can see number of equidistant points will be created. Now there are number of points is actually set to 10. By default the spacing is adjusted according to the length. So if I bring down the instances, so for example if I bring it down to just 2 and click on enter, here we can see 2 points are created. If I now go back and if I click on say for example 5 and click on OK, here we can see 5 options are created. The software by default makes these adjustments as well. Important tool, not used frequently, but we still have to learn the use. The intersection point. Now for the intersection point, so say for example these are the 2 lines that are intersecting. So the intersecting point command will be helpful. We simply have to click on the other option, and here we can see when 2 lines intersect, that particular point will be created. As we can see, it is a narrow one, but we can see it is present there as well. So this is the points that is created by intersection, not used frequently. Again, if I draw a line and if I draw a circle which are interfering with one another, so I will just click here and then I will use this option. So here we can see point number 1 and point number 2, because there are 2 intersections between the 2 geometries, so important for us as well. Just clicking on delete option, and then we have the intersection point. So the intersection point is actually working similar as well. So say for example these are the 2 lines that are created, and then the intersection point option, if we choose the intersection point option, the intersection point option is created. It actually works similar as well, so not too much in it. The projection point, for the projection point, if I choose already created one of the points, and if I use these points, a projection point will be created as well. So these are the different tools that we have learned while we use the option of profile. As we can see, we have created different geometries now. It will be important for us that we use different options altogether from this very particular tools as well in the operations command. But guys, before going that further, let us know something about using the constraints. Constraints is an important aspect, because whenever we create a geometry, that geometry has to be green. That is, it has to have a relationship between the origin of our workbench system. So drawing can only be green and be on the safer side only if we create a relationship between every point in the geometry with the origin of our work system. So constraints is an important tool that will be used frequently by us. So if I simply, as we have seen in video number 2, it's used, but if I simply draw a rectangle, it is always important that every point in the system has its relationship with the origin. So by double clicking on the constraints, I can just simply choose. This actually lines represent the origin lines, that the horizontal and the vertical. So we will be using the incremental system. So let us first of all give this dimension, and here we can see it is perpendicular as well, so that will be important, but it is already horizontal. So if a line becomes violet, it means that it is over constrained. Geometrical constraints are always there as well. So let us first of all choose this line which are parallel to one another. As we can see, it is now defined. See, it can be anything. The dimensions, length of the dimensions can be anything at the moment. Now this line has a relationship with the origin, so this becomes green. If I double click on the constraints and then I choose this line, there is a relationship between these two with the origin, so these two lines are now green. If I then choose the incremental system, and if I define it from this point to this point, as we can see now that this line has a relationship with the origin. And if I again click a relationship between this line and this line, as we can see, not important because it is in the sketcher that these dimensions don't play a huge role, whether the dimension lines are placed equally or not. It can be placed anywhere because while creating a 3D drawing they don't interfere. So all these lines have a direct relationship with the origin, so this is how we will be defining it by using the constraint as well. So we are running out of time in this video. We hope that you are enjoying our videos. Thanks for joining. Do join us again next time. Until next time, goodbye from me.